Sí.
Okay.
Ahora sí. Ok, bien. Excelente. Y bienvenidas a todos y todas que están aquí. Espero que la pasaron bien. I hope you all had a good time over the holiday break, a good and safe time. Y vamos a empezar. We might have a few people joining us a little bit late, but that's okay. Esta clase es una clase para personas que saben un poquito de español, sí, saben un poquito, quieren practicar un poquito. Quizás ustedes no son expertos con el pasado, con todo el subjuntivo, con todo el futuro, con todos los tiempos perfectos y no importa, it does not matter. Ustedes no tienen que ser expertos para divertirse en esta clase. So I want to, aquí viene Kathleen. Okay, so we have a few more people coming in. We'll have a few more dings of folks coming in, ding, 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 letting people in. Para que sepan, so you know, see, un mapa, muy simple, a really simple kind of map for what I have planned out for tonight. But of course, anytime you have questions, those of you who are kind of, veterans, you know this, you always feel free to interrupt me with questions if they come up as we go along. My plan, my roadmap for tonight is we're going to watch a little video on 10 questions for foreigners. 10 questions, 10 preguntas, 10 questions that foreigners might ask you if you went, especialmente a Mexico, especially from Mexico, because this is a little more Mexico-oriented, this particular video. 10 questions that foreigners are likely to ask you if you are, si tú eres turista, if you're a tourist. And then I'm going to send everybody out to breakout rooms to discuss maybe one or two things, kind of based on some of the things you heard in the video, okay? And then we'll come back, and then we're going to do a little fun thing to review some things with reflexives and to see if you can remember. Yeah, well, there you go. Porque está bien que ustedes no son expertos. It's okay that you're not experts. And because, I don't see you every day. I don't see you 5 hours a week over and over to reinforce that. So we're going to do a little reflexive review para divertirnos, to have some fun with that. And then we're going to do kind of a little bit harder video where they will talk. It's going to be a little interview between two people. I think I'm going to slow it down just a bit. And I want to see how much you can pick up, because the point with this is that it's very, very good for you to do a lot of listening for listening comprehension. That is, probably for the tourist, the most critical skill for you to really, really hone, to know that you understand what people are saying at you. And but it's going to have some themes that everybody kind of knows about. They're going to be talking about comparing two countries in that last video. And for homework, la tarea, homework, I am going to give you links for a video and an accompanying transcript and vocab sheet to go along with that video, which you will need because it's a longish video. And I want you to watch that because we'll base conversation next week on the homework video. So you have time to watch the video, have that vocab sheet handy while you listen to it, have the transcript handy if you need that. And, jot down some ideas of things you will want to talk about. The homework will be a video on friends, different kinds of friends, putting your friends into category. And some of these categories didn't sound all that friendly to me. I have friends who are like this, because I just look at that definition of that type of personality. Do I want a friend who's that in that category? But we all do. You know, sometimes we have family who are in those categories because you can't pick your family. Okay.
Is it a David and Anna? Is it David and Anna?
Sí, es de
cool.
David y Ana. And most of it is in presente, most of it's in present. So it's kind of, it will be longish, but it will be worth doing. And we're going to preview some things about that so you know what's coming with it and what to listen for. Sometimes if you preview that, it makes it a little bit easier. Ok, bueno, vamos a empezar con, hay 10 preguntas, de verdad. Creo que sí. Son 10 preguntas posibles de alguien, de un nativo, de una nativa. Si estás en México y tengo que ajustar y arreglar un poquito mi pantalla. I need to just adjust my screen a little bit. But these are things that people will typically, if you are lucky enough to get into a friendly conversation with somebody from Mexico, but really anywhere you're traveling and they know you're American, estadounidense, they're likely to ask these kinds of questions. So, por favor, presten atención. Please pay attention because we're going to take one or two of these ideas into breakout rooms so you can talk with people in smaller groups about this later, un poquito más tarde. Okay. Pueden ver a la mujer aquí, a la morena, ¿sí? Ella se llama Paulísima. Qué nombre muy divertido, Paulísima. Pueden ver a Paulísima. Sí, Paulísima. ¿Sí? ¿Bien? Ok. Vale, magnífico. And we may cut out some of the shameless self-promotion, which is technically okay. They got to make a buck too.
Ready for that conversation? Empecemos.
Ok, empecemos.
Número 1. ¿Qué estás haciendo en México?
Qué normal, ¿no? ¿Qué estás haciendo? What you doing?
Why?
What you doing in Mexico? People want to know if you're traveling for work, for play, okay. ¿Qué estás haciendo en México?
Posibles respuestas.
And, possible answers. But you will not have to stick to these.
Visitando, estoy trabajando, me vine a vivir aquí hace un año.
Okay. And now I want you to notice something. If somebody were to ask you this question, this is not the question I will send you out into the breakout rooms for, by the way. ¿Qué estás haciendo en Mexico? What you doing in Mexico? Sort of the what's your business here question, only in a friendly way. Many times when you respond to people, you may not respond with a full sentence. And is that okay? Sí, está bien. Many times we do the exact same thing in English. Instead of responding, estoy visitando, you may just say, visitando. And here she did put in estoy trabajando, I'm working, yeah. Me vine a vivir aquí, bien, okay. Una respuesta muy larga, there's a long response. I would not expect you to maybe all piece together that fast.
Or X amount of years. Me vine a vivir aquí hace 2 años, me vine a vivir aquí hace 3 años. Número 2. ¿Estás aquí solo o con tu familia?
¿Cuál es la pregunta en inglés? ¿Estás aquí sola?
Are you traveling alone?
You're here alone?
You're here alone or with family. They want to know if you're traveling with a group or by yourself. Yeah, okay.
Posibles respuestas. Estoy aquí sola, mi familia está en Nueva York. Estoy aquí con mi familia. Número 3. ¿Te gusta la comida mexicana?
Qué buena pregunta, ¿no? Ustedes entienden, sí, te gusta la comida.
Here it's really important that if you actually don't like Mexican food, just keep it to yourself.
Don't tell them. Really, es un insulto, ¿no? Yeah. How do you like the food? Oh, it sucks. No, we don't. You wouldn't do that. Ya, ustedes ya saben. Ustedes son muy corteses. You guys are courteous.
¿Por qué? Pues porque los mexicanos somos muy sensibles sobre nuestra comida. Y vamos a pensar que debe haber algo raro sobre ti si no te gusta nuestra maravillosa comida. Only
Sí.
acceptable answers. Me encanta. Sí, me gusta mucho. Now, you can use this one when you are really not that crazy about Mexican food. Sí, me gusta, pero casi no la puedo comer por mi estómago. Es muy sensible.
So there, see, you're blaming it on your stomach. Not that the food isn't. Notice, fíjense, notice that. Fíjense, notice. Por mi estómago. It's not that the food isn't good, it's my stomach. Es muy sensible. Y sensible, sí, sensible no es tan como sensible. Sensitive.
Sensitive. Yeah.
Sensitive. Yeah, that's a misprint. Okay.
Número 4. ¿Qué te gusta más?
Oh, sí.
What do you like
Ah.
more? And of course, this is a continuation of the previous question about Mexican food. Ejemplos. Los tacos al pastor, los tamales, el mole, el pozole.
Mhm. Ole.
Now, if you're that peculiar person who doesn't like Mexican food, you can answer with this. Las quesadillas de solo queso con guacamole.
Okay, so you notice, yeah, if you really can't handle like the strong spicy stuffs, muy picante, comida muy picante, you might just keep it simple. See, algo
This is
simple.
a great answer because you're letting them know that you like simple flavors, and that way they won't offer you anything crazy, like tacos de tripa or tacos.
Tripa, uy, yeah, stomach. No, if you're queasy, tacos de sesos, the brain stuff. No, you probably don't want that.
De
then.
sesos.
You're not adventurous.
You also get additional points because, well, we all Mexicans, we all love a simple cheese quesadilla with guacamole. So there, you're still an acceptable human. ¿Te está gustando este video? Si es así, dime en los comentarios, y si no, well, also let me know. I want to know what I'm doing wrong and how can I be better for you. Número 5. ¿Qué piensas de los mexicanos?
Question.
Son muy buenas personas. Son muy cálidos y amables. Son maravillosos. Son. They are. Remember that in Spanish, the verb to be is kind of like split in two. Ser and estar. And in this case, because we're talking about characteristics, we use ser, which is also used to talk about occupation, origin, time, and well, you don't really have to learn this.
And we're gonna review some of that because it will prep you for the amigos video for videos. So
Well,
we have a
don't try to
plan.
think too
Tenemos un
much
plan.
about it because it's only going to drive you crazy to, try to remember all of these rules. We don't do this at Spring Spanish.
And okay, there's going to be just some promotion. Let's get to the next
There's
question.
a link there, click it,
La próxima
get your free
pregunta.
copy right now. Número 6. ¿Te está gustando México? Are you liking Mexico? Or are you liking, Chile? Or are you liking Colombia? Possible answers. Sí, me está encantando. Sí, me fascina.
Ooh, there's one of those words we did in the phone. Ooh, me fascina. It fascinates me. Me fascina. Right? There are all those verbs that are like gustar. Sí, me fascina. Oh, it fascinates me. But of course, we say that when we say, I love it. One
¿Te
of the
está
ways.
gustando este video? Well, make sure you stay until the end because I am going to test if you're actually paying attention and learning something. Número 7. ¿Cuál es tu lugar favorito en México?
Qué pregunta muy importante. ¿Cuál es tu lugar favorito en México?
Possible answers. Cancún, la Ciudad de México. No tengo favorito, todo me gusta. Ahora una gran pregunta para preguntarle a la otra persona. ¿Qué lugares me recomiendas?
Fíjense, here's something you will be doing in smaller groups today. ¿Qué lugares me recomiendas? What places do you recommend to me? The me means to me. ¿Qué lugares me recomiendas? Okay.
Número 8. ¿Cómo te está yendo con el español?
How's it
possible
going with your
answers.
Spanish?
No muy bien, pero quiero mejorar. Más o menos. Bien, pero me falta mucho. Número 9. ¿Ya fuiste a Chapultepec?
Chapultepec
Have
es
you
un
gone
parque.
to, and then insert a place. Posibles respuestas. No, todavía no, pero tengo ganas. Sí, ya fui, me encantó. ¿Ya fuiste a Xcaret? No, todavía no, pero tengo ganas. ¿Ya fuiste a Tepoztlán? Sí, ya fui, me encantó. Número 10. ¿Qué lugares has conocido?
And literally, that means what places have you known? But remember, we use conocer to say that you know people and that you're familiar with a place. So what that question is really asking is, what places have you become familiar with? Meaning, oh, I already visited, and then give a little, maybe not a litany, but a few places. Okay.
Here's where you're going to list all the places that you have visited, and you're going to start it with this phrase. Ya fui a.
Ya fui a. Keep that in your back pocket. We may not get to it yet tonight, but soon, pronto. Ya fui a. I went already. Oh, well, literally, the word order is already, I went to. Ya fui a. And then you would tell people where you have been.
Ya fui a Teotihuacán, ya fui a Xochimilco, ya fui al centro histórico y ya fui a Tepoztlán. ¿Qué tal si todavía no has ido a ningún lugar interesante? Then you could say, todavía no conozco mucho, pero tengo muchas ganas.
And notice how many times she's already said here in this video, tengo muchas ganas. Tengo muchas ganas is one of those tener idioms like tengo hambre, tengo sed, tengo frío, tengo calor. Tengo muchas ganas means I really feel like, meaning I really want to do something. To say that you have a deep and burning desire to do something is tengo muchas ganas. I really want to is a nice way to phrase that because that's probably how we would express it.
¿Qué lugares me recomiendas? Número 11. Quiz time.
Okay, and we're going to skip the quiz time, but you can watch it later, see? In the email I will send you, if I'm lucky tonight, but possibly tomorrow morning, we'll have the link to that video so you can watch it in its entirety or just again because you feel like it. And, perdón. And we got to stop that because we don't want that. Yeah. Okay. Vale. Quiero enviarlos a grupos pequeños. I want to send you into some small groups. And there are a couple of things that I want you to practice with in these small groups. If you do not have chat box turned on, please click on at the bottom. It'll say chat because these will be the things. They're not complicated questions. But they will be different for everybody. So you'll be in a group of, probably 3 people.
Tengo una pregunta.
Sí, Catalina, dime.
Trying to remember how to say. La frase, tengo mucho ganas.
Tengo muchas ganas.
Muchas. There was something about tengo ganas you're not supposed to say. There was some off-color meaning to it, but I'm not.
No recuerdo en esos momentos.
Okay.
Pero, bueno, voy a investigar más tarde,
Okay.
¿no? Bien. Ganas really means like a desire that's deep in your belly, that burning desire. So, okay. Bueno. Now I'm forgetting my first question. Okay, I'm going to type the 2 things I want you to talk about. And actually, I'm going to violate what I just said. One of them is not a question. here's the first one I want you to discuss with the people in your group. It can be about Mexico, Sudamérica, España, Canadá, Estados Unidos, no importa, Europa. I want you to talk about any place you have traveled to. Ya fui a, ya fui a, ya fui a es, I've already been to, I already went to, and list some places. Bien, okay. La primera cosa que ustedes van a hablar de, en los grupos pequeños van a hablar de, ya fui a, ok, van a compartir ideas de lugares, y no importa, lugares en Estados Unidos, lugares en México, lugares en Costa Rica, Perú, no importa, ¿ok? Vale. La segunda. Si estabas, sí, si estuvieras con alguien, if you were with somebody, sí, de otro lugar. I want you to talk about, in the second part, Arizona. Te recomiendo. I recommend you. I'm going to embellish on that just a little bit. En Arizona, aquí, porque tenemos muchos turistas aquí en Arizona en el invierno, ¿sí? Tenemos una cantidad muy grande de turistas aquí en Arizona, parientes, amigos, lo que sea, whatever it may be. En Arizona, te recomiendo que visites. In Arizona, I recommend that you visit. Y quiero que ustedes hablen. I want you guys to talk about places in Arizona you would recommend a tourist to visit. Okay. And I'm going to add one more little embellishment on that. These are not separate questions, these last three. En Arizona, te recomiendo que visites I want you to embellish a little bit more. En Arizona, te recomiendo que visites un lugar. You're going to name a place. ¿Por qué? Because. Okay. Por ejemplo, I'm going to give you an example of this last one. Because the ya fui a, eso, no es tan difícil, ¿verdad? Ya fui a, I already went to, it's going to be easy to do. But, por ejemplo, mi ejemplo, ¿sí? Por ejemplo, en Arizona te recomiendo que visites Flagstaff porque tiene montañas muy bonitas y bosques. Y es una ciudad muy divertida. Hay muchos restaurantes interesantes en Flagstaff. Bien, es un ejemplo. That's just an example. Okay? Vale, ¿entienden? Understand what you're going to do? Dos cosas. You're going to talk about two things.
Sí.
¿Sí? Bien, bien. ¿Necesitan quizás 5 minutos? 5 minutos son suficientes. 5. ¿Qué creen ustedes? Sí, 5 minutos. Bien, ok. Vale. Serán grupos pequeños. They're going to be small groups. I'm going to try to keep them very, very. Uy, ¿cuántas personas hay? 5. A ver, momentito. Ok. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2. Ok, vale, bien. Ok, fantástico. You will need to hit the join button, ¿sí? And I will give you 5 minutes to talk, come back, share some ideas. ¿Está bien? ¿Todo bien?
Sí.
¿Todo bien? Ok. Oprimen, por favor, el botón que dice join. Haz clic. Hagan clic. Hagan clic en join. Y 5 minutos. Bien, bien, bien. Aquí vienen todos. Here comes everybody. Casi todos, casi todos. Y hola, Isabel. ¿Es Isabel o Tammy?
Isabel, I'm on my
Isabel.
mom's computer.
Isabel. Ok, está bien, está bien. Yo sé, I know. Sometimes that happens because we got stuff on our computer that lives there. That's the way that works. Okay. Van a venir muchísimas más personas dentro de un minuto. Dentro de ¿cuánto tiempo? Dentro de aquí vienen todos. Aquí vienen todos. Magnífico. Magnífico. Ok, bienvenidos y bienvenidas. Welcome back. Excelente. Ahí me falta. No, aquí, sí, todos están. Magnífico, magnífico. ¿Tienen preguntas? Do you have any questions, like something you had a hard time expressing or something that was a little bit tough? Probably won't be the first part with ya fui a, but no? No?
Got
Bien?
Got it
¿Todo
through.
bien? Easy enough?
Mhm.
Wading into into the surf? Okay.
I have a question. I was thinking of Prescott because I like the town square. Do you call Prescott a ciudad or would you call it a pueblo? I don't know.
Qué
go from one to the
Es una pregunta.
I don't know how big it is.
Creo que Prescott sería más un pueblo, more town, ¿no?
More town,
Más
okay.
un pueblo.
Okay.
Pero
Gracias.
es mi opinión.
Okay.
Y a veces mi opinión cuenta muy poco. A veces mi opinión cuenta muy poco. Sometimes my opinion is, about Marlene. Estás riéndote. You're laughing. Yeah, I know. Pero es así. That's just my opinion. Sí, es un pueblo, ¿no? Okay. Vale. I didn't want to give you anything too super hard to wade into. Okay. Bueno. ¿Otra pregunta o no? ¿No? Bien, ok, vale. Vamos a repasar algo. Vamos a tomar quizás 10 minutos con una idea abstracta de la gramática, pero no es tan difícil. Es algo para expresarse mejor en español. This is something just to be able to express yourself better in Spanish. Y son verbos, a veces hay verbos que son verbos normales y también son reflexivos. You have some verbs that they can be used both by themselves and reflexively, but of course when you use a verb as a reflexive, it changes the meaning of that verb ever so slightly, or sometimes kind of a lot, right? So reflexive verbs are a thing. Reflexive verbs are a thing in a lot of languages, in French, and I believe in German, and a lot of other languages. And so it's good for us to take a look at when they might typically happen and just kind of review what they are so that you're kind of prepared for it when you hear it, right? ¿Cuál es o qué es? I'm asking for a definition. ¿Qué es? ¿Qué es un verbo reflexivo? What's that kind of handy catch-all explanation that we usually say? We say, oh, this verb is reflexive because...
Doing it to yourself.
Do it yourself.
Subject does and
sí.
receives.
Ducharse.
Yeah, como ducharse. Exactamente, como ducharse. It is a reflexive verb in the classic definition of what a reflexive verb is. It is an action that somebody does, and the person doing the reaction, the action also receives that action. Okay, like ducharse, like llamarse. We're going to take a look at what those are again. Now, sadly, that definition does not always hold because some verbs just are reflexive, like darse cuenta, to realize, which literally says to give oneself an account. And if you translated it exactly in English, nobody would know what the heck you talk about. But we don't use that idea in English. So not all reflexive verbs really show, oh, the person who does the action also receives the action, but a lot of them do. And that's the classic kind of explanation for what a reflexive verb does. So we're going to kind of play around with that. We're going to do some quick review, some quick, easy use. Ooh, then we're going to do some hard stuff. And again, we're going to go into some small groups to do some of the hard stuff. Para repasar, to review. And if you never had this, it's going to look a little strange, but go with the flow. You'll learn a lot tonight if you never saw before. Reflexive verbs. We're going to talk about what some people do in the photos. That's going to be our easy stuff. El orden de una típica frase reflexiva. Here is your, typical thing. The order is this. Most of the time in Spanish, we ditch all those subject pronouns. People don't bother to say yo, tú, nosotros. They'll skip all that junk because it's already built into the verb, right? Yeah. Llamamos means we're calling. So most people aren't going to bother to say nosotros llamamos. A grammar exercise will have nosotros llamamos because they give you the cue. How do you have to, conjugate that verb? But in practice, in real conversation, people will skip the yo, the tú, the nosotros, even often skip usted, ustedes, often. But whereas we can skip subject pronouns frequently because the verb tells the whole story, in reflexives, you cannot skip these little pronouns that come in front of the verb. You cannot skip the me of me baño. You cannot skip the te of te bañas. You cannot skip the se of se baña. You cannot skip the nos of nos bañamos. You cannot skip the se of se bañan, because bañar by itself means something slightly different than bañarse. Bañar, to bathe. Like you don't throw a 6-month-old into the tub and say, good luck with that, kiddo. Here's the soap. Too little, they'll drown. So, you bathe a child, you bathe your dog. Yeah. But when you talk about taking a bath, it's bañarse. Okay. So bañarse fits into that classic description of a reflexive verb. And we cannot skip little pronouns, the me, the te, the se, the nos, and then gladly, happily, it shares se again for the they form. Okay. We change the meaning a little bit if we skip that pronoun. So unlike saying, I'll ditch the yo, tú, and the nosotros, you can't ditch these little reflexive pronouns. Okay. ¿Cuáles son verbos muy comunes, verbos reflexivos que son comunes? Here are some common verbs that are reflexives, and we're going to talk about what they mean when they're reflexive versus what they mean if you don't have the set on the end. And you see the set tagged on the end if you look it up in a dictionary. Yeah, when we use it, we actually bring it up front, like me baño, te bañas, se baña, right? But in a dictionary, when you look up a word to find out what it means, it will tag the se onto the end. Despertarse, to wake up. So what does despertar by itself mean?
Wake somebody else?
To wake somebody else, to wake up your spouse, to wake up your kids. Whatever it may be. Okay, levantarse, to get up from a laying down or a sitting down position. Levantar, sin el pronombre se, without this little pronoun se, levantar by itself means
Get up.
To lift or
to lift
raise
something up.
right? To
Yeah,
raise
sí. Bueno, sí, por ejemplo, sí, sí, levanto la canasta, sí, I'm lifting that basket, that's levantar, right? Pero me levanto, pum, me levanto, I get myself up. Okay, vale, magnífico. Ducharse, Ducharse, curiously, you don't see that used not reflexively. No. You may hear ducha, the place, the shower, but yeah, ducharse always seems to be reflexive. Bañarse, we already talked about. Bañarse, to take a bath. Some people use it in place of ducharse, it depends. I've heard some Colombians do that. Lavarse, to wash a part of your body, your hands, your face, even sometimes lavarse los dientes, a veces, yeah. Okay, but lavar by itself is
To wash.
wash
Wash.
something,
Laundry.
lavar la ropa. ¿Qué más? Lavar.
Las ventanas.
Laundería.
Sí,
Laundería.
la ropa, sí, la ropa, el carro,
Los platos.
los platos, exacto, muy bien, sí,
El
lavar,
friso.
sí, si no es una parte del cuerpo, if it's not a part of your body, it's just lavar. Ok, vale, magnífico. Cepillarse. Un cepillo, the word by itself, is a brush of some sort. So cepillo might be used here. Cepillo might be used here, right? Sí, depende, ¿no? Cepillarse, to brush your hair or your teeth, pero cepillar without the se becomes
Brush
what
something else.
happens, what
Brush
happens to
something else.
yeah, to what if you brush your pets, yeah, give your dog a good brushing. If you brush
And your clothes.
could be, sí, es posible. Cepillar also very frequently, what happens to you if you go to the barber shop or to the beauty parlor, and you get a cut, a blow, and a blow dry, all that. Okay, all of that. Okay. Acostarse is usually, wow, you don't hear that. You almost always hear that reflexively. You might hear acostar. Well, no. If you put a kid to bed, it could be acostar, because you lay the kid down in bed, and the kid undoubtedly doesn't want to go to bed. Okay. But acostarse, to go to bed, to lie down. Okay. Dormirse, to fall asleep. We say fall asleep, pero dormir, just dormir, sin el pronombre se, without the se pronoun, dormir es
Sleep.
to sleep, right? So making it dormirse turns it into fall. I know, kind of odd, see? Secarse es dry off. So you're toweling off once you get out of the bath or the shower, right? Y secar, solamente secar, sin se, secar, to dry something, like drying your clothes, right? Drying dishes, if you do dishes by hand, and that. We get a very special verb here. Ponerse is used a couple of ways. Ponerse con la ropa. Con la ropa. Ponerse, to put something on one's body. Me pongo un suéter. Me pongo los lentes. Me pongo los audífonos. Me pongo perfume. Me pongo crema protectiva. Crema de sol, ¿no? Anything you put on your skin or on your body is ponerse. But sometimes we use ponerse very frequently with a description. That means with an adjective. And then it really, really changes the meaning of poner. Poner is to put, right? I could use poner como por ejemplo, pongo mi bebida en la mesa aquí. Pongo la bebida a la derecha. I'm putting my drink off to the right because I'm setting something down. But ponerse is to put something on your body. Ponerse with a description means to get a certain way emotionally. Okay. Se pone feliz. It's like become or get a certain way. Yeah? Se pone feliz. He gets happy. Se pone enojado. He gets mad. Even se pone rojo. He gets red, which means blushing. Ah, sí. So ponerse put on or get a certain way. Y la última categoría, we've got our last category. Quitarse with clothing is the opposite of ponerse. Quitarse, to take off. Quitar without the se just means to take something away. Like taking candy from a baby, taking the toy away from your kid, taking the toy away from doggy, you know. Quitar, right? Maquillarse, to put on makeup. Usually that's reflexive because we don't usually have people to do that for us unless you work in the TV world, right? Vestirse, to get dressed. Vestir by itself is to dress somebody, like you're dressing a little kid. So vestirse, sí. Arreglarse, to get oneself ready. It's a little vaguer. You know, we have in English a distinction between get dressed and get ready, but well, they're very close in meaning in English, aren't they? But we have different verbs. So we have different verbs for them in Spanish too. Arreglarse. Arreglar without a se just means to fix something, to kind of tinker with it and make it right. Yeah. Arreglar. To arrange, to fix something is arreglar. Y despedirse. Despedirse, to say goodbye. Yeah. Despedir, oddly, despedir without the se generally means to fire somebody.
Well, that's a way to say goodbye.
That's a way to say goodbye. And it's pretty darn permanent. Yeah. So, okay. Bien. Fantástico. And the one other thing I'm going to remind you of, and this is a sad thing, is that besides remembering that you got to use a me, te, se, or a nos, a lot of these verbs just kind of happen to be stem changers. Not all of them, but a lot of them kind of just are. So it's something to keep in mind. A lot of these verbs that we call stem changes, meaning we get a little vowel in the middle of the verb. It has nothing to do with the conjugation ending, but the little vowel thing splits off into, you know, different stuff, you know, E to an IE, and O to a UE, and E to an I. That happens with a lot of these, certainly not all of them, but, you know, something to think about. Me despierto, I wake up. Me siento, I sit down, right? Me acuesto, I go to bed. Me duermo, I fall asleep. Okay. ¿Qué podemos decir aquí? Can we think of one of these reflexive verbs we might use to talk about these people? Estas personas.
Yes.
And it's going to be the opposite of this.
Sentarse.
Bien.
Sitting.
¿Qué diríamos? What would we say to talk about these two people? These people they're doing what? See?
Sitting.
Aquí.
Nos sentamos.
Nos sentamos para nosotros, sí. Si hablamos de ellos, if we're talking about them.
Ellos se sienten.
Se sienten.
Se sientan, perfecto. Se sientan. ¿Dónde se sientan? ¿Dónde se sientan?
En el parque.
En
el parque.
You know.
En el parque, en un lugar con árboles y arbustos, en un lugar verde, un lugar relajante, se sientan en un lugar muy tranquilo, ¿no? Bien, ok. Se sientan, ¿cómo se dice bench?
Bench. Is it barco? It's like
Casi, almost.
Like it's close there.
Banco.
Banco.
It sounds like
Okay.
bank.
Right.
Yeah, Se sientan en un banco en el parque. Bien, fantástico. ¿Qué hacen estas personas? Is there any reflexive we could use to talk about these people? Sí, estas personas. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hay 5 personas en la foto.
Hmm.
And again, boom and boom.
Sure where we're going.
El mismo verbo, boom and boom. ¿Sí? ¿Cuántas personas?
Dos sientas. Or they're
Okay.
Dos se
dos
sientan.
sientan.
Dos
Oh,
Personas.
Sientan.
se sientan y
Tres.
pues,
No se sientan.
me engañaste. You cheated on me with that one. Sí, no se sientan. Y 3 se, think levitate.
levantarse.
Se
Levantan.
levantan.
Se
They're
levantan.
already-
Y
They're
3 se...
already up.
Sí. Sí. Well, I have to give you something, Karen, to give you a cue.
Yeah. It's not like they're getting up. So
Son excusas mías. They're my excuses. I'm entitled to use.
okay, well, that's why I said no se sientan.
No, sí. Y 3, sí, sí. And by the way, Karen, that is a valid circumlocution. Sometimes if you can't come up with the word, you describe enough to, and giving an opposite can be a valid way to get across the same idea. So, yeah, para que sepan, so you know. Sometimes when we have to think on our feet, we do that. ¿Cómo hablamos de esta persona aquí? Esta persona.
Ella se ducha.
Ducha.
Ella se ducha. Se pone contenta, se pone feliz en la ducha.
Sí.
Sí. Canta en la ducha.
Canta, sí, sí.
Canta en la ducha.
Okay.
Y se ducha. Aquí. Vale. ¿Qué pasa aquí? Uy, momentito. ¿Qué pasa aquí? Eso.
Lava los platos.
Levantan los platos.
¿Es una
se
persona o
levantan.
hay muchas personas o hay solamente una persona?
Uno.
Una persona,
So,
una mujer.
Levanta los platos.
Levanta es.
Oh, okay. Lava.
Lava los platos.
Lava los platos, los trastes.
Says no es reflexive.
No es reflexivo, exactamente. Y esto sí es importante. Si queremos expresar o describir esta acción muy típica, algo que todos hacemos todos los días, entonces esta acción no es reflexiva. Bien. Ok. Entonces, pero aquí tenemos 2 niños. Perdón. ¿Qué pasa? Un momentito. ¿Dónde está mi mandato así de orden?
Se lavan las manos.
Bien. Sí, ellos ¿qué hacen? What are they doing?
Se lavan las manos.
Se lavan
Lavan las manos.
las manos. Muy importante. Se lavan las manos. No se dice, it is not said, no se dice, se lavan sus manos. No, generalmente no. Con muy poca frecuencia, ¿sí? Se lavan las manos. Generally, when we're using parts of the body, talking about washing or showering or that kind of thing, or even raising your hand for that matter, we use
Or hurting.
las manos. Yeah. Bien, ok. A ver. Aquí, ¿qué pasa? Oh, pobre mamá, la pobre mamá.
Sí, pobre
Oh,
mamá. Yes.
¿Qué pasa?
despertar.
Despertar. ¿Es despertar
Desper-
o es despertarse? ¿Cuál es?
No, no despertarse.
La niña
Ah,
desperta.
desperta, casi, almost. We're going to put one little
a
tweak
su
in there.
mamá.
Despierta.
Oh, sí.
La niña o el niño, no sé. Despierta a la mamá. A la mamá.
La mamá o
A
su
la,
mamá.
a su mamá, sí. A su mamá. A la mamá es muy impersonal. Sí. A su mamá. El niño o la niña, sí. Despierta a su mamá. A su mamá es importante. A su mamá. When we talk about doing an action to a person, the person receiving that action needs that itty bitty word ah. But of course, when somebody says this very fast, you'll barely hear the ah, because listen to what happens. La niña se despierta a su mamá. La niña se despierta a su mamá. Despierta ends in an ah, and then we got the little word ah. So you'll hear the ah dragged out just ever so slightly. La niña despierta a su mamá. We need the little word ah when it's written out in there, because the person receiving the action is a human being. And when a human being receives action, we need to put the ah in front of their name. But you will almost, with that verb, like not even hear it's there, because despierta the ah kind of tags along with the end of the ah on despierta. Okay.
What if you were waking up your cat? You don't say, you wouldn't say a su gato, would you?
Yo sí. Sí.
Oh,
Claro. Con mascotas, casi siempre, sí. Almost always with a pet. Pets are treated like, because they're your fur babies.
Really?
Yes, of course. Claro que sí. Yeah. So, buen punto, really good point. If the animal is a pet, they usually will use an ah, yeah.
All right, so what if it's not a pet, but some other kind of animal that's, or
the farmer out with no, probably not. I mean, if it's just
Yeah.
a work animal.
no, but what do you use instead of you just say desperte las vacas?
Oh, yeah,
Oh.
sí.
No.
Yeah, then you don't need an ah, right.
Okay.
Usually there has to be a personal affection. The farmer feels a special affection for, who's the pig in the kid's story?
Winnie the Pooh?
Wilbur.
Yeah. Es así, yeah. So, if it's a special relationship, then yes. Sí. Okay. Vale, muy bien. A ver, vamos a practicar un poquito más aquí. A ver, ¿por qué no funciona? Así. Ok, pero en este caso, aquí, quiero engrandecer. Aquí la flecha.
No sé.
¿Qué pasa aquí? ¿Qué pasa aquí?
No sé.
Creo que es un hombre. Es un hombre, ¿no?
Sí.
¿Qué hace? What's he doing?
No quiere
Despierta.
levanta.
No quiere
Quiere se
levantarse.
levanta.
No, okay. Hay dos maneras. There are two ways you can do this. When you're combining quiere levantar, and actually there are many things we can say about this picture, but one is no quiere, he doesn't want, claro que no. No quiere levantarse, he doesn't want to get up. Or we can flip the se in front of that first verb, which is not levantar, but quiere. No se quiere levantar. So when I use two verbs together, want, I can say, no quiere levantarse, o Es posible. No se quiere levantar. Okay.
Okay.
Two ways we can do that. Pero más fácil, but easier. Despertarse. ¿Cómo se expresa? How would we express that? With despertarse.
No quiere despertarse.
No quiere, exacto, sí, no quiere despertarse o no se quiere despertar. Is one more right than the other? No. Is one more common than the other? No. Depende. Depends on the person speaking to you. They may feel like saying no se quiere despertar. They may feel like saying no quiere despertarse y no importa tanto. It doesn't matter so much. Okay.
Oh.
A ver.
Pregunta.
Sí, dime.
On that other one, could you say, no se gusta? No.
Oh,
no
doesn't
se
like
gusta
to?
despertarse?
No
Ah.
le
No le gusta. No le
No
gusta.
le gusta. No le gusta
Yes, well, whatever.
despertarse o levantarse. Right, we could say get up, we could say wake up. No, a él no le gusta. No le gusta levantarse. No le gusta despertarse.
And then you
Sí.
would say the whole verb is a reflexive. Despertarse,
Sí.
levantarse.
If I'm using a no le gusta, he doesn't like,
Mhm.
I am much more fixed on where that se with levantarse or despertarse has to go. I'm pretty much going to have to tag it on the end because I've already got the le gusta thing going on here.
Okay.
Yeah. And that kind of is, that's a big idea. That's the big idea of doesn't like. No le gusta, right? It is not pleasing to him.
Mhm.
No le gusta levantarse, no le gusta despertarse. Así, ¿bien?
Sí,
Ok,
gracias.
buena pregunta. Ok, vamos a ver. Vamos a ver aquí. ¿Qué pasa aquí? What's happening with this guy? ¿Qué hace? ¿Qué hace?
Dormirse.
Dormirse, pero ¿cómo se expresa?
Duerme.
Durmió.
¿Se duerme?
Se duerme, or if you want to put it in the past, se durmió, where, maybe not all at the se durmió part yet, but se duerme, he's falling asleep, o se durmió, he fell asleep, exactamente. A ver, y aquí hay una pareja, los dos, the two of them.
Oh.
¿Qué hacen?
Cepillan los dientes.
Se cepillan los dientes. In many situations, in many regions, they like to use lavarse with dientes. I know, wash your teeth. Es común, pero es muy común, ¿no? Se lavan los dientes también, ¿sí? Son iguales. Se lavan los dientes, lo mismo. Se cepillan los dientes, lo mismo. Ok, vale, aquí. ¿Qué hace la mujer? La mujer, una mujer muy bonita. Con el pelo muy largo.
La mujer se cepilla
Se cepilla
el cabello.
no se cepilla los dientes.
El cabello.
Se cepilla el pelo. El pelo. Ok. Un poquito diferente aquí. Aquí.
Sacar.
Oh, secar.
So it'd be say.
¿Se seca?
Oh,
Se
no,
seca.
seca.
Se seca. The great word to remember, if you're like me and you're learning this word for the first time, is, that wine where it's got sec on it? Yeah, dry wine. Guess that SEC thing, French wine. Yeah, there you go. Okay. Secar, because it comes from all the Latin. See, se seca con la
Toalla.
toalla. Se seca con la toalla. Se seca con la toalla. Excelente. Okay. ¿Entienden? Understand? ¿Sí? Un poquito. I'm going to send you off for a little drill. Ooh, wow. I'm running a little behind. I'm going to send you off to do a little drill in little rooms. And it's, ooh, I better preview what this is, because this is going to be a little bit harder. Es un poquito más difícil. We're going to do maybe just one or two of these and maybe save one for next week. We're going to see if you can pair things up according to the meaning. And the verb's already going to be conjugated for you.
Oh, yay.
El problema, pero todavía hay un problema, but there's still going to be a problem because, of course, without a problem, we couldn't have class. So here we go. The verbs will already be conjugated, but you've got to figure out which verb actually makes sense in that sentence. El contexto. ¿Sí? Ustedes tienen que pensar en cuál es el contexto correcto. ¿Cuál es el verbo correcto en la forma correcta que depende en el contexto? ¿Entienden? Yeah? You're going to have to understand that. So some are going to be reflexive, some are not. And we're going to start off with a really, really easy one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, we've only got 4 things that possibly fit. So we don't have any extras lurking in here. Okay. Miro el vocabulario. Facilidad. ¿Quién blanca los platos en tu casa? Fácil. Okay. Facilidad es ease. Ease. Fácil es easy. Facilidad es ease, meaning it's easy for somebody. Centros comerciales son malls, ¿no? Siempre sí. Educadamente. Educadamente looks like educatedly. What the heck does that word mean? Educadamente es politely, courteously, in a polite fashion. See? See, the only word you might not remember in there, this last was demasiado. Demasiado is too in the idea of TOO or also.
It's too boring.
Sí, exacto. Okay, vale, bien. I'm going to be able to send this picture into the breakout rooms with you.
Oh, good.
You didn't really think I was going to tell you. I just remember that stuff.
Not this memory.
No.
Where we have phones, pictures.
Yes.
Wow, if I had thought of that, yes.
Yeah, no. I want you to figure out which words fill in those blanks. Sí, según el contexto. We'll give you, I don't know, 3 minutos, 3 minutes, maybe, quizás, sí, 3 minutos. 3 minutes, maybe, because there are only 4 things. Okay, vale.
Oh.
Oprimen, por favor, botón. After you get all in your rooms, I'll send the actual picture. Vale, muy bien. ¿Fue fácil o no?
Más o menos.
Más o menos. Okay. Okay. If it's super easy, then I'm not doing my job. Okay. A ver. Pero vamos a hablar un poquito de esto. We'll talk a little bit about this. We're going to do more of this next week too. As usual, I planned quite a lot, and I'm going to have to cut some things and fit them into next week, but that's okay. Está bien. ¿Dónde están los otros? Los demás. Where's everybody else? ¿Dónde están? Aquí vienen los demás. Aquí vienen los demás. Here comes everybody. Oh, that word demás. You had los
Oh, it's that
demás.
man. I
You had
forgot.
los demás. Los demás means the rest of them. ¿Dónde están los demás? Where's everybody else?
Yeah. What's the
Okay.
rest of the sentence? We couldn't remember.
Está
Yes,
bien.
yes. When we only had a minute, everything disappeared.
Okay. Perdón. Okay. Okay. ¿Cómo se completa? How would we complete these sentences? ¿Quién
Lava.
lava los platos? Uy, qué fácil. Sí, en tu casa. Bien. Who washes the dishes in your house? Esto. La segunda frase.
¿Te vas? That's what I say.
¿Te pierdes?
Te pierdes.
You get lost or do you go with
Te
the
pierdes con facilidad en los centros comerciales. Do you get lost easily?
Okay.
Oh,
In
I
great big
think you
shopping
could say
centers.
you could go easily, you don't get lost. You could do the reverse.
Quizás. Okay. Lo
I
acepto,
thought both
Patricia.
were
I'll
okay.
accept that today. Hoy sí.
No,
Hoy lo
I could
acepto.
go either way.
Okay, a ver. Okay. And here, the hard, I forgot. Yeah, los demás, the rest of the other ones, the other people is what los demás refers to. Siempre
Despides? We
se
didn't know that.
despides educadamente. Do you always say goodbye politely
Oh,
to say
to everybody else? A los demás. And notice, a los demás, to everybody else. We need an because los demás is talking about human beings. A los demás. Okay. Y entonces, sí, la frase muy larga aquí.
well, then you say
Te vas.
Te
Te
vas.
vas. Te vas si una fiesta te parece demasiado
party's no good.
Yeah, if the party's no good. Do you, wait a minute. Why is
You
it
don't-
te vas?
I don't know. Why wouldn't it be, why don't you leave?
Why not just, why not just, we could have plugged in there. Well, but you don't get lost because the party is boring.
No, you don't get lost.
No, but you don't go. I
Maybe
mean,
wish you had, but.
do you go if a party seems
Yeah.
to
No,
the
it-
boring? You're already
Yes, okay.
there.
So
see if the
why
party-
is this expressed as te vas? Well, here's what this means. Te vas si una fiesta te parece demasiado aburrida. Do you take off?
Take off, you leave.
Do you take off if a party seems like a real yawner to you?
See,
So you couldn't, could you just say vas? Vas si.
You could say vas, but it wouldn't have the same weight.
But
As
why is
say-
that te vas? Or is that irse?
Oh, see, it is irse. And we didn't
Okay.
talk about irse. So let's talk a little bit about te vas. And then I'm going to preview what you're going to do
Remember.
for homework. Okay, vamos a
Because
ver.
I'm thinking it
vamos a
should have
ver.
been salir, or something like that, but irse makes sense.
Thursday.
No, te vas would really be the absolute best way to say that. Okay, now, here we're going to get to that idea of circumlocution again. Would somebody get what you meant if you plugged in sales instead of te vas? Would they get it if you just said vas? They would get it, but it wouldn't have the same impact. And here's why not. Ir, it means, of course, I Ir es to go, no? Pero irse gets a little twist. Irse is to go. Well, then why? Because it means to go away. We plug in a little different idea with irse in English. We plug in the word away, or we might say to take off. I'm taking off now. You know what they mean. It doesn't mean they're taking all their clothing off. No, of course not. I'm taking off. Taking off what? No, nobody looks at you and says, what are you taking off? No, because they know you mean I'm out of here. Oh yeah, it is a way to say I'm out of here. Yeah. I'm going, I'm taking off, I'm out of here. Let's split this pop stand. Let's get the heck out. That's irse.
It's like that idea of se va, when they leave, somebody.
It's
leaves
exactly
abruptly.
se va. It's exactly se va. It is exactly se va. Se va. Se va. Somebody points at some guys and says, se va. They say, hey, he's taking off. He's leaving. He's splitting. He's splitting this joint. Yeah, it is what, yeah, exactly. So, you know, we do a lot of slang with this idea in English, but se va. Okay.
So if you said me voy, does that mean I'm out of here?
It
And
means
that-
I'm out of here.
That says like a more expression
Me voy.
than, oh, I'm just leaving now.
Well, it does mean I'm leaving. I'm leaving. But yeah, you know, you would probably say, yeah, something like I'm out of here. You know, I'm taking off. I gotta take off.
But there's more emotion than bye, see you later.
Yeah, there's like more movement.
Gotta go. It's
Yeah. Okay. So for example, you know, and the me voy or se va is often used without like naming a destination. So voy al supermercado. Voy al supermercado. Voy al taller. I'm going to the car mechanics. Voy a la casa de mi abuelita. I'm going to grandma's house, right? Voy a, I'm going to, and I name the place. But if I'm just taking off, it's just me voy. And I don't get an a with a place. Me voy. ¿Te vas? ¿Cuándo te vas? ¿Cuándo te vas? ¿Cuándo te vas? ¿A qué hora te vas? What time you taking off? What time you getting out of here? Yeah, see? So me voy is just me voy. And quite often, I'm not going to say ever 100% because somebody will surely come up with an example of somebody saying it with that. But, you know, we often don't name the place. It's just me voy. Okay, and we don't say where you're going to. ¿Entienden? Understand that idea? ¿Sí? Bien? Okay, vale. Magnífico. Okay. I am going to, tenemos tiempo. Do we have time for this? Vamos a ver. Tengo que buscar el número de minutos de este video. I need to check out how long this video is. Quizás, maybe. We will watch part of this video. How's that? This is kind of a precursor because in the video you're going to have for homework, you're going to undoubtedly hear this very common verb used a fair amount. Y como siempre vale la pena, as always, it is worth it to kind of review what it is about. You're going to get quite a long video. It's, I want to say about 20 minutes. 25 minutos, 22 minutos. 22, 23, 24 minutos, más o menos, okay. And it will be a little bit hard, but I'm going to send you off with the video. It's going to have a vocab chart and it will have a transcript. And some people like to look at the transcript. Some people say, I'm not going to bother with the transcript because I'm going to click on the little CC box. That's fine too. You know, whatever works for you is fine with me. But we're going to take a look. They're going to talk about friends and kind of nicknames or ways that we categorize certain friends. But in the course of describing who these friends are, you're probably going to hear them using the verb ser or maybe even estar quite a lot. Y vamos a repasar. We're going to review a little bit, at least, maybe not the whole video, but a little bit of ser and estar. And a lot of times we like to say particular things to describe ser and estar, but this is going to be a little more accurate. Raise your hand if you can hear her talk.
Hola, ¿qué tal? Soy Ana de How
¿Sí?
to Spanish
Bien.
Podcast y
Vale.
How to Learn Spanish. Y hoy vamos a hablar de la diferencia entre ser y estar.
Okay. And we're going to skip all the funny
Se
stuff.
usa
Okay.
para cosas
Oh,
no
perdón,
permanentes.
momento.
Algo muy importante. Muchos estudiantes piensan que el verbo ser se usa para cosas permanentes y que el verbo estar se usa para cosas no permanentes, pero no, así no funciona. Esta regla es útil a veces, pero
So that rule is sometimes helpful. The temporary permanent is sometimes helpful. But there's a different way to think about estar that is a little more accurate. So she's going to talk
casi
about it.
siempre hay muchas excepciones, así que no debes aprender ser y estar así. Es mejor entender a qué se refiere cada verbo. Vamos a ponerlo de esta manera. El verbo ser es como un tag ID.
And what does she mean by un tag ID? She means an identity. She means identifying somebody or something. Ser is used. So kind of better to think of ser as using it to identify a thing or a person rather than necessarily the permanent thing. Because sometimes the permanent thing gets us in trouble.
Como una lista de información que corresponde a una persona. Y el verbo estar habla de estados, de un estado actual. Vamos a comenzar con el verbo ser. Usamos el verbo ser para hablar de trabajos. Por ejemplo, soy abogado, soy maestra, soy plomero, soy mesero. Cualquier tipo de trabajo. No importa si tú eres mesero durante un año, pero después tú vas a tener otro trabajo.
So this is where students get messed up. They say, I won't be a waiter forever. Yeah, I know. But that's where the permanent and temporary can get people messed up. They don't think of a job as being permanent, but it's not that it's permanent. It's that it identifies what role that person fills. Waiter, lawyer, therapist, whatever they are, okay?
Ser mesero no es permanente, pero necesitas usar el verbo ser. También usamos este verbo para el rol en la sociedad, es decir, qué palabras te describen a ti en la sociedad. Por ejemplo, soy estudiante, soy niño, soy adulto.
Okay, none of those are jobs. Yeah, but it's a role you fill. It's your place in the social fabric. Okay.
Soy ciudadano, soy turista, soy voluntario. Cualquier trabajo tuyo o posición en la sociedad usa ser. También para nacionalidad, es decir, de qué país eres. Por ejemplo, yo soy mexicana y tú tal vez eres estadounidense, canadiense o filipino. El siguiente uso es para personalidad. Esto es muy importante y es un error muy común.
So ser used for personality is the thing that people, English speakers, tend to mess up on the most, okay? Personality is not the same as your feelings or your emotional state. The personality, the way you generally are, a description of the way you physically look or the way you normally day in, day out behave is going to use ser.
Siempre que usamos un adjetivo de personalidad, necesitamos ser. Por ejemplo, soy egoísta, soy amable, soy interesante, soy intenso. También podríamos decir, soy feliz.
We could say I'm happy, but that's not the I'm happy of I feel happy. And this is where you can get in trouble. Soy feliz describes I'm a happy-go-lucky person. Every day I wake up, I'm like, yay, what are we doing today? Yeah, I'm cheerful. Nauseatingly so. So soy feliz is I'm a happy person. That is, I'm an upbeat kind of person. It has nothing to do with how you feel right now. Es la diferencia. That's the difference, okay?
Pero si yo digo soy feliz, significa que mi personalidad es cheerful. No significa que en este momento I'm feeling happy. También lo usamos para colores. Por ejemplo, la manzana es roja
Fácil.
o yo soy morena. Morena es una forma de hablar del color de la piel que no es blanca. Y por último, lo usamos para habilidades. Cuando queremos decir que tenemos talento o que hacemos algo muy fácilmente, decimos soy bueno para.
I'm good at something. Oh, that's what we say. I'm good at something. I'm good at soccer. I'm good at cooking. Like, lo que sea, whatever it may
Y
be.
después otro verbo. Por ejemplo, soy buena para cocinar. Eres bueno para estudiar. Muy bien, todas estas palabras están dentro de un tag ID y eso es el verbo ser. Ahora vamos con el verbo estar y como te dije, hablamos de un estado actual o current state. Y hay diferentes tipos de estados, ¿no? Vamos a comenzar con el más simple, las emociones. Decimos estoy feliz, estoy triste o estoy enojado. También usamos estar para estados de la mente o del cuerpo. Por ejemplo, estoy aburrido o estoy interesado. Un estado físico podría ser, por ejemplo, estoy cansado o estoy enfermo. Tal vez una persona tiene una enfermedad crónica que va a tener en su cuerpo siempre, entonces es permanente. No importa, necesito usar estar. Estoy enfermo. Y por último, también lo usamos para posición. ¿Dónde estás? Por ejemplo, estoy en México, estoy en mi casa, estoy en una silla, estoy sentado, estoy con mi esposo o estoy sola. Vamos a terminar con una información muy importante que es un poquito difícil de encontrar en los libros de gramática, pero que todas las personas que hablamos español usamos. Así que pon mucha atención. Hay algunas situaciones muy específicas en donde podemos usar ser o estar y es correcto, no está mal. Pero, como dije, son situaciones muy específicas.
So certain ideas can be used with both ser and estar, but what the sentence mean will change quite drastically. So I'm going to let
que
her
debes recordar
say that
cuándo
out.
es posible hacer esto. Básicamente son dos situaciones. La primera es cuando hablamos de características físicas, excepto colores. Porque colores usa el verbo ser, como ya estudiamos. Por ejemplo, cuando dices guapo o guapa, puedes decir ella es guapa o ella está guapa. Y es correcto. Pasa lo mismo con alto, gordo, fuerte, débil, bajo.
Okay, so I'm going to punctuate this because I've got a little something I want to add. Por ejemplo, gordo, es gordo. Ella es gorda, she's fat. Ella es gorda, okay? That is, physically how that person is. But you will hear people say, "Oy, ay, estoy muy gorda. I feel fat." because I ate too much, because, you know, I put on weight during vacation. Yeah. So sometimes you'll hear ideas like that. Yeah. But it changes the meaning. Okay, changes the meaning. It's not like, you know, I'm always in this condition, but I am right now because of something I did that was unusual.
La segunda situación donde podemos usar ser o estar es cuando hablamos de la situación de pareja. Por ejemplo, puedo decir estoy casada o soy casada. Solo hay una excepción. Viudo, que significa widow, solamente usa el verbo ser. Soy viudo. Es
Okay.
la única excepción.
So
Perfecto.
that's not a big deal, but por ejemplo, it is possible to say soy casada. I am a married woman. I'm IDing myself that I'm not a single gal. Soy casada. I'm a married woman. But if I change it to estoy casada, I am married. That's the difference. So that little bit at the end, don't freak over it. You know, it's a little something to put in your back pocket. Think about, ponder over just a little bit for another time. You are going to see her again with her husband in the homework. She's going to be in a longer video, and I am going to give you both the vocab and a transcript so that you can, you know, print it out or split your screen into two and have them both. And it will be a little more challenging. So do not fret if you do not understand all of it, but we're going to have a lot of things that we can talk about. What they're going to be talking about in the longer video is tipos de amigos, types of friends, the drama queens, the good buddies, the shoulder to cry on, and different types of friends. So we're going to base some, and actually I think I'm going to go in and probably get you the email for tomorrow, because I'm gonna actually formulate some questions based on these that we can use. Things we can use to talk about what kinds of personalities inhabit our social circles, talking about friends. And you'll be hearing a lot of probably ser and estar, but maybe more ser in this, you know, how people are, what those people are like, and what kinds of names they tag to these personality types of people. Bien?
Sí.
Okay, está bien?
Mhm.
And when we come back next week, we'll take any questions you had about something that maybe really you got stuck on with the video before we go off into small group. You'll have some, you know, questions, as I said, to work on. You know, later after we resolve all the little questions, we'll send you out to talk about some of these groups, these personality types that inhabit our world and how we react to them, whether we like them or not, all that kind of thing. ¿Está bien?
Sí.
Está bien.
Bueno, okay. So you'll get practice with some much easier questions based on this video. Okay, está bien? And all the vocabulary describing what these personality types will be sent to you in the email tomorrow. ¿Está bien? ¿Bien?
Sí.
¿Fantástico? Ok, vale. Excelente. Entonces, ¿hay alguna pregunta antes de despedirnos? Is there any question before we say goodbye?
No,
¿Sí o
no.
¿No? Bueno, la próxima semana ustedes van a conversar con preguntas específicas. I'll give you some specific questions to structure your conversation around, so I don't just say, hey, go in there and talk about that. No, we'll give you some structure to talk about. Ok, vale. Bueno, eso es todo para esta semana. This is all for this week. Y
Sí.
nos vemos.
Adiós.
Nos
Muchas
vemos.
gracias.
Excelente. Sí,
Gracias.
fue un placer. It was a pleasure. And I will send you the recap with all the links that you need tomorrow, because I want to get some of those questions fleshed out a little bit better to make sure I give you some easy things to talk about next week. ¿Vale? Perfecto. Ok. Entonces nos vemos.
Sí.